Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now today's video, very cool. If you've been watching my channel, you realize, well, I'm pretty much in love with my Ruger 10/22 for a number of reasons, but most specifically, just as a gun enthusiast and somebody who's getting into this, having a firearm that's very modular and gives you some flexibility is just really cool. So my original 10/22 stock here, you can see it's been fun. I really like it. Fairly lightweight overall, has a cool camo pattern. I definitely like it, but it left me a little bit limited. So I moved on to the Magpul Hunter X22. Awesome. And again, you can see these are the takedown models, so both of them exactly the same. So this Hunter X22 has been fantastic, but a little bit heavy, a little bit bulky, gave me some great features, but I wanted to play a little bit more. And so that's where this comes in. We went from the standard rifle to sort of that hunting style. Well, now we're going tactical, all with the same 10/22, which is really cool. But here you can see the Adaptive Tactical Tac-Hammer RM4 Takedown stock. This is going to be more of a tactical version for my 10/22. That's what I'm saying. The flexibility and versatility you get, all with the same receiver, all with the same trigger group, all with the same barrel, giving me a lot of flexibility, a lot of fun, and all for really fairly reasonable money, all things considered. And so what we're gonna do today, I've cleaned up my firearm, got it nice and ready. We're gonna get this outfit now today in this Adaptive Tactical Tac-Hammer RM4 Takedown stock. I'm gonna get it mounted, see how it goes. We're gonna get it to the range, get some good practical use with it, and then in the future, well, I think this is going to make for a really nice platform where I can start to experiment with my own paint jobs, customizing this, just continuing to have fun. If there's anything about owning firearms and having a YouTube channel that covers it, well, having fun is something I'm definitely looking to do, and that's exactly what I'm hoping to do today. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you, and if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now again, the Adaptive Tactical Tac-Hammer RM4 Takedown stock for my Ruger 10/22. One thing I'm going to say, the fact of the matter that I did go with the takedown version of the Ruger 10/22 has some pros and cons. Pro being, and the obvious one, you can split it apart, makes it compact, easy to transport, number of different bags and carry systems and whatnot. The downfall, it left me a little bit limited in some of the things that I wanted to do. There's less options out there for the takedown version of the 10/22 than for the standard sort of full-length version. It's not a deal breaker. It's just if I could do it again, with the idea being I don't take it down nearly as much as I should. So if I had the full-size 10/22, I would have had a number of different options, but I ended up settling on this Adaptive Tactical RM4 Takedown stock for a few reasons. We're going to get into it, so as I break into this here, we're going to check this out in some detail. Let me flip the camera around and we'll take a look at it as I get it out of the box. And so here, as we get into this, again, as I've mentioned a few times, the Adaptive Tactical Tac-Hammer RM4 Takedown stock. Now, the reason why I went with this exact model, first and foremost, specifically because, yes, it is the takedown version, but second, because it has a few features that over some other potential options, I thought this was just going to be really cool. Now, there is something I'm seeing here that has me, I was hoping for the best. So yeah, there's a few features in here that I think are going to be really cool, that gives me options over some of the other options out there. Now, as you take a look at this, very nice. This is going to be fairly stout, actually. This has a little bit more sort of weight and quality thickness than I thought by seeing it in some of the photos, so it feels good and durable, nice and stout. Nice grip. That's the first thing. I really wanted to start to get into the pistol grip. If you've been watching my channel, in one of my prior videos, I did swap out my trigger group for the BX trigger group. So this now has been swapped out. that is the thing. I think I'm gonna really enjoy some of that sort of faster, sort of plinking style action that you get with the 1022. So having the pistol grip is just gonna be fun. And I love the fact that now I'm starting to kind of mix it up, get some new look, some new feel, give me opportunities and ways of shooting that I otherwise wouldn't have had. And that's definitely the case here with the RM4 stock. Now the next thing, this has onboard magazine storage. Definitely cool. I like that. I think it's really, really neat. You also end up with some sling attachments. That's awesome. You end up with your adjustable stock. So very cool, very nice. And the other thing, well, you'll notice this is in black. There is one that, oh, I was so drawn to it. I couldn't find it for the money I wanted to pay. It was in like cryptic and it was so awesome. If you look, I do wear a lot of sort of cryptic camo. I like it. I love the way it looks. And they had this in that cryptic camo, just so cool. But I ended up going with black and that's fine. Like I said, I am going to do my own personal customized paint job on this at some point, which is going to make for another just super enjoyable project with my 1022. So that's the other thing. I'm going to be able to use this as a blank canvas, just have some fun, play with it, enjoy this. It's just really, really cool. Now here I shouldn't have any problem, I don't think, installing my barrel. At least I hope not. This should be very straightforward in all ways. I don't think that there's any sort of surprises here. So this is going to work out very well. Now, one thing that this does catch me a little bit by surprise, and I'm going to have to take a look at this in a little bit of detail. I thought this had more of a pick rail on the bottom, so this is going to leave me lacking in terms of what I wanted to accomplish here, but we'll get into it. I'll check it out. We'll see how it goes. And so as we get into this, my components should all fit fairly well. And if you're familiar with the 1022, you kind of need to center your lock. So getting that centered, this should pretty much fit in here without any fanfare. I'm hoping that's going to be the case. Usually you get that butt end kind of in there, and then the front, well, this does seem like it's going to be rubbing just a little bit. I hope this doesn't wear on my Cerakote finish, which I think it's going to. So at some point I'm probably going to complain that it's worn through my finish, but at the same time, maybe if I just put a little bit of grease here, I think I'm going to do that, just a little bit of protection. It might be worth it. And so for the first thing, I'm going to just be picky. To me, the tolerance here is not really the best. I'm like leaning on this, sort of forcing on it. It's not great. The other stocks I had really just set into place, and this is kind of binding on me. That's the first thing. Not too thrilled on the tolerances inside this. And so like most good men who think they know what they're doing, actually, if you read this, it says swing the receiver assembly down towards the rear stock. Note, the stock is engineered to be a tight fit. Final seating of the receiver into the stock is completed with tightening the bottom receiver screw in the following step. So again, I don't quite understand that, but at least that is by design. So that's one thing. This is definitely worth noting, is that this is going to be tight until you install the screw. So what screw are they talking about? Well, your factory stock does come with a screw, and in fact these are usually sort of stuck in here until you back them out a couple times and sort of loosen up the plastic. So there you go, getting this under here. Now again, this is going to change the game just a little bit. There is a specification for torque on this. I'm not going to get into the torque right now. I'm just going to simply get this receiver down and into place, which as I start to thread this, yes, you can see this is going to suck this down and into place. I'm not going to overly tighten it, just enough to go sort of a little more than finger tight. That looks way better already, and that's fitting down where it should. Looking at it from the front, you can see everything seated down nicely. So at this point, I'm good to go to the next step. Now, it is my understanding that the forend on this particular stock is really only intended for the tapered barrel, so the factory tapered barrel. Of course, with the Ruger 1022, there are a number of different barrels you can get for this. And this here, you can see, just does have a nice fit. So generally speaking, you can't use more of your bull barrel style. It won't fit. But you can see here with the tapered barrel, literally perfect. And so now with this in place, you do end up with this sort of cover here, which now I do have these in place. And paying attention to the fact that the flat side of this goes towards the muzzle. So see how there's a flat side and then more of a tapered side. So flat side forward there. Now before I tighten this down, I do need to get the actual screw into the forend. So this came out of my factory forend here. Just the same as the actual receiver. You can see doing this is pulling the barrel down and into place. It's tight, but I'm not going to go over tight. And in fact, now that's snugging up. So again, engineered tight by design, tight tolerances. I'm really only going sort of snug and calling it there. But again, everything's sitting down and into place. You can see everything seated down there. My lever here is exposed, so that works out very well. And now at this point, I can tighten this down. Now the manufacturer does suggest going with a crisscross pattern and not over tightening because you are threading this down into plastic. So I'm just gonna go easy here and get this established. And then at that point, start my crisscross pattern. So I'm just gonna go easy for a minute, get everything close. And so now, very simple, you can see seating that all the way down. This does have, and I'm not going to say like a collar, but it's almost like a spacer underneath. There will be a tiny little space there. It doesn't sit down completely, but you can see there, very nice even gap on this side and a very nice even gap on this side. So now at this point, this is fully ready to go. Really nice. And this has some nice grip to it. I like these sort of serrations there. Actually feels really good. I like the way it's machined. So this is in pretty good shape at this point. Usually with the 1022, as you go to assemble this, sometimes you need to kind of monkey around. This is actually going to go together just about perfect. I don't see really too much in the way of tolerance issues. However, I could probably snug up on this by messing with this collar, which I might do. Generally speaking, though, this feels pretty good to me. It should be close. And in terms of my ability now to get this apart, pretty straightforward, not much to it. So I think I'm in pretty good shape. I might mess with this just a little bit to try to kind of tighten up some of these tolerances, but it might not need it. We'll see. And so now at this point, you can see the basic setup, very straightforward, super simple. And that's the cool thing. We've gone from your standard stock to more of your hunting platform, and now at this point, more tactical. Now, there's still a bunch to do. This has a ways to go. On the bottom here, I was hoping this came with it. You can actually get sort of it's not a bipod nor a tripod. It's kind of like a monopod in the grip. So if you put this on a bipod, you can actually jack up the back end of this and kind of get it into place. So when you're bench resting it, it gives you a platform. That to me is phenomenal. I think that's just sweet. I love that about this. It's gonna come into play. Now, in terms of this actual stock, that's very simple. That's nice. So you just pinch this, adjust it to length. So depending on your length of pull here, I'm probably gonna go almost all the way out for me. Second notch in, that's gonna be just about right. Cheeking this feels really good. And I'm able to see down my sights easily. Not too much interference, seems reasonably comfortable. That's going to work out just fine. Now this also has spare magazine storage. So grabbing one of these and let's see here. It goes... It's just a little bit stout. it's a little stubborn, and it's certainly not going to be for fast magazine changes by a long shot. In fact, that's quite stiff. So in terms of practicality, it's definitely going to give you the way to carry your spare ammo, which is cool. So you could have potentially, in this case, 10 rounds in the firearm, 10 rounds really in each one of the magazines, and 2 of them in the stock. So a total of 30 on the gun, which I think is going to be nice. Now you do seemingly have the ability to swap this sort of plate around. If you notice, there's some screws here. Looks like you can take this off and swap it around with this side. So depending if you're right hand or left hand, I mean, for me at this point, I have no idea what I really want. I'm just going to leave it like this for now, but that seems to be pretty good. Now, I was hoping this came with the pick rail, and I guess I thought it did. You do have this plate on the bottom that can be swapped out. Taking it the one step further, here you can see adding the optic. I wanted to have the red dot on here. I thought it would be really cool. Now, I'm not going to be able to use my iron sights if I keep this on there, but I figure this is a great time to try. And especially using this on this configuration, this is going to be just so fun. I mean, right when I cheek this, my red dot is right there in perfect plain sight. So I should be able to pick this up really quick, just get a nice sight picture. I mean, I'm literally right where I want to be. So now it's a matter of zeroing this in. I have the means to do that. It's going to be awesome. This looks really, really good. Hold on. Time out. I knew something was up. This is just my lack of familiarity with this, but if you remove this, ba-boom, there is your pick rail right on here. This is so cool. Such a neat design, and the fact that this is just right here built into this. So if you want it clean, it can be clean. If you want that pick rail, here you go. So just beautifully done. Wonderfully, wonderfully done. So I am absolutely impressed at this. That's just an awesome design. I love it. It's even bolt on, so I'm sure if you wanted to, you could swap this out for M-lock or something like that. So such a good design. I am absolutely thrilled. So the people here at Adaptive Tactical doing a wonderful job. Nicely, nicely done. I am more than pumped for this rifle.